Welcome to the JAMODI podcast. We are all surrounded by amazing coaches and leaders. So let's get an inside look at not just what they do, but how they do what they do. After all, becoming the best versions of ourselves is JAMODI, just a matter of doing it. Coaches, the one thing that every team needs is confident shooters. The last 8 years at Grapevine Faith, our teams have averaged 354 made threes each season. I love getting to share with coaches how our shooters train and, more importantly, how they think. If you would like to enhance your shooting culture at your school, contact me directly at jamodipodcast@gmail.com. So at a school like mine where 340 kids, half of them are boys, we need multiple sport athletes.
Yeah.
But even though, the times where I have some of those players year round, I know that I can get deeper in their skill. This question is more of, I love having football players come out because of their strength and athleticism,
Yeah.
their aggressiveness that they have. One common, if I have a player who has played basketball, I know they love it. One reason they decide not to play is because they've either been told or they feel like, I'm going to lose strength during the season. When I get back to football, I'm going to be behind. What are some things that we as basketball coaches can do? Because I always tell my guys, like, listen, we lift in season. Like, we actually lift 3 days a week, and we rarely miss that because it's important.
Yep.
How can we help?
Yep, absolutely. So here's two things, because I was the same way. When I very first started coaching, I was a football coach, basketball coach, track coach. And so we had multiple lads, and I was in a small school. So it was funny because my football players would come out, especially like I had a couple linemen that came out and played basketball. And I said, you got 5 fouls and you're going to use them. And that's what I'm like, that was the advantage. So, well, what I would do with them is I'd say, listen, during this 3-month period of time, you're going to become a better athlete. You're going to get faster. You're going to get quicker. You're going to be more explosive. All those abilities are going to go up. The strength training we're going to do is not going to go down. You're just not going to be able to do as much of it, and you'll know that. You'll feel that in your body because the basketball practice is different than a football practice. So what I would do is we would choose 3 primary lifts for those kids. Maybe it's a squat, maybe it's a form of a deadlift or a hinge, and a bench press or a clean or whatever it was they wanted to do. About 20 minutes. We kept them strong. So what we would do is go with those kids. A lot of times we'd go 3 to 5 reps, and we would push the weight fairly heavy. They never got sore. They kept getting stronger, and they felt good. Neurologically, they went up. Like their CNS system was ramped up really good because of the heavier weight with really good form. And then they were done. At first they were like, Coach, I don't feel like I did a lot. I said, yeah, but you just lifted your max for 3 reps or 5 reps in great form. What do you mean you didn't do enough? Watch, in 2 weeks, that's going to go up. That's how we did it. And they stayed very healthy. And because we only did it about 20 minutes, the volume didn't override their fatigue levels to the point where they couldn't recover. And what was funny, my basketball kids started to say, well, I want to do that. I want to get, versus, I would do some different stuff with them if I had to, just because they weren't exposed to that early on. Now, I just kind of make sure that they know they're going to be a better athlete because basketball is going to help them move differently, and they're going to still be able to maintain that strength. And then when the season's over, they can get right back into their higher volume if they choose.
So it'd be probably a good idea for when those guys come out. I don't like the idea or the feeling like it's us versus them with programs.
Exactly.
And we're fortunate at Faith where I do have a good relationship with the football coach, but there's not a lot of dialogue. It would be probably smart for me to say, hey, Coach, these guys are coming out. What are a few things in the weight room that you would like for them to continue to do and maintain during our season so that when they do go, is that a good way to approach that?
It's a great way to approach it. Why not? Why not? Why not have them involved and interested in knowing that they're players? Because you can say to them, hey, laterally, they're going to get better. They're going to have stronger legs and feet because of that quickness and movement. What do you want them to do? What's important to you to keep their numbers up there? And if they say, hey, because it's collision, we have to have a good bench press because they have to have enough shoulder strength or they have to be able to do the, maybe a hex bar deadlift, which is a pretty safe deadlift. We want to keep that number. Hey, great. We'll make sure they do it,
Yeah.
and it's really, really good. And sometimes those players might not play as many minutes overall just because they're maybe not as skilled, which is great. A lot of times what you can do is they can prioritize their training aspect even more so than your main starters who get a lot of volume in games.
Thank you for checking out today's episode. Please take a moment to subscribe to this podcast, share it with your fellow coaches, and find us on social media for what's coming up next on the JAMODI podcast. It's just a matter of doing it.